I need to read the remote meeting rules and then we can get started. So briefly, commissioners, staff, and meeting participants, thank you for joining us this evening for the June 17th, 2021 Monte Sereno Special Butterfees Commission meeting. Before the meeting's called to order, I'd like to point out a few things to assist the commission members, staff, and members of the public to successfully participate in this meeting. Commissioners, please keep your microphones muted until you wish to speak. For this commission meeting, we are using Zoom to host the meeting. At the bottom of the Zoom client, there are two icons, chat and raise hand. Please use chat only to report technical issues such as being able to hear a commissioner speaking. Please use the raise hand if you would like to be recognized and able to speak to the commission by the chairperson. Comments in the chat feature will not be part of the public record. For public comment under oral communication or any agenda item, in addition to use the raise hands feature, emails can be submitted to the city engineer, limited to 350 words, and they'll be read into the record. This limit is set to adhere to the typical 3-minute allowance. Only attendees using Zoom application can use the raise hand option to comment. Participation from telephone will allow for listening only and does not allow for any feedback. And finally, because we are not all in the same room, all votes for this meeting must be taken by roll call. That's the end of the spiel. You're on mute, Barry.
What do I need to do to see raised hands, or are you keeping an eye on that?
I can see that here with our IT, and it's
see
under
it
the
too.
Participants panel.
Okay.
On your if you pull that up on your
Yep.
Zoom client.
Yep,
See it?
I did it. I've got it now. Thank you very much.
Great.
All right. So we've already called the meeting to order. Can you go ahead and do a roll call, Jessica?
Sure. Commissioner Elvis, you're on mute, Philippa. I believe she's here. Commissioner Nelson?
Here.
Commissioner Pearson?
Here.
Commissioner A. Saxena?
Here.
Commissioner S. Saxena?
Here.
And Chair Chafin?
Here. Okay. Do we have any comments on the orders of the day? That is, somebody would like to change the agenda. Okay, hearing nobody. Presentations. I'm actually not sure what that is, Jessica.
Oh, I meant to delete that. There are no presentations I have scheduled for this meeting.
Okay. Oral communications. So do we have any members of the public that would like to speak at this meeting?
I do not see any at this time.
Okay. Or written communications?
I have not received any for this meeting.
Okay, so far so good. The minutes of the April 8th meeting. I don't know if everybody's had a time to look at them, but if they have, does anybody have any changes they would like to make to those minutes? Did anybody notice any errors? If not, could somebody make a motion to approve those minutes, please?
I will make a motion that we approve the minutes from the April 8th meeting.
Thank you. And would somebody like to second that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Nancy. I think maybe Philippa tried, but it didn't work. All right, I believe Jessica, this time we'll remember, Jessica needs to do a roll call on this.
Correct.
To make it official.
Commissioner Ellis?
You could raise your hand.
I see you nodding.
Yes.
Commissioner Nelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Pearson?
Yes.
Commissioner A. Saxena?
Yes.
Commissioner X. Saxena?
Yes.
Chair Chafin?
Yes.
Right.
Okay, great. The next item on our agenda then is public communications. There was some concern at the last meeting about if we are being as transparent as possible in everything that we do. And we realized one barrier to that is that we didn't even understand all the communication that went out to the members of the public from the city. So we were hoping to learn more about that. I think that's the reason for this. So do you want to introduce it, Jessica, or Should
Sure,
we-
yes. By the commission's request tonight, we have Michelle Radcliffe on the line. She is our city clerk. She does most of our public communications along with our admin staff. And so she is here to answer any questions you may have of her.
Hi, good evening.
Hello, thank you for joining us.
Oh, you're welcome. So I understand there are questions. How can I help you?
Well, this is mainly educational for us, I believe. You could start by maybe reviewing the various ways the city communicates with residents. Just so that everybody understands that and we're all on the same page, because we weren't when we talked about it before.
Okay, well, let me just start with just the legal requirements when it comes to meetings and agenda packets and whatnot. You know, by California law, we are governed by the Brown Act, which requires all meeting materials for council meetings, commission meetings to be posted and distributed to the public 72 hours in advance. So with the city of Monte Sereno on our website, that's where our agenda materials are posted. And when meetings are scheduled, an e-blast gets sent out to whoever has signed up for those notifications. So we'll start with that. So, and then we also post those. We have a board that at our city hall where our agendas are posted, also 72 hours in advance. And that's with just agendas and meetings for council and commissions. In terms of projects and public hearings or whatnot, again, the law requires us to post public hearing notices 10 days prior to the actual meeting. And when that is done, is being posted through our through the board here, and we notify the residents who will. I have to look at, you know, certain projects require like a certain radius of residents within a particular project needs to be notified. So depending on what the project is, the residents in that particular radius will be notified of the public hearing as well. For general announcements, I guess you could say, like when we had recently the Name the Quail contest, that was, you know, sent out through our social media feeds. It was in our newsletter through Nextdoor. It gets e-blast to our subscribers. Our recruitments are done the same way. I'm not quite sure what else, what other areas you guys were interested in getting more information on. You're on mute, Barry.
We were curious about the newsletter and who gets the newsletter. Are you talking about a paper or electronic newsletter?
It's both, actually. As for the paper newsletter, I'm not sure if that is actually mailed out. I would have to check with the administrative staff in the front, but I know that the electronic version of the newsletter was mailed out, was sent via e-blast, and it was also on our website. And I believe, I'm not sure if it was posted on our social media sites, to be honest with you. I believe it went on Nextdoor, but I don't think it was advertised on Facebook and Instagram. Oh, and let me just back up. The social media sites that the city runs, which I run, are Instagram and Facebook. Then we have another person in our office who does our Nextdoor postings and does the e-blast for the city.
Okay. What's the frequency of the newsletter?
I believe it's quarterly.
Quarterly. Okay, and you mentioned earlier there's 10-day notification about meetings regarding projects.
Public
Is that
hearings, when we have public hearings.
Okay. Okay, one thing that I know that Philippa brought up, she can't speak for herself right now, I guess due to technical problems, was we were talking about some work that was going to be done on Highway 9. And she wondered how that could get communicated, I think, to all residents, if there's any way that can or should happen. Uh,
I guess, Jessica, I would probably need your help on this. In terms of projects that are going on, I'm not very familiar with what's happening when and whatnot. I mean, Jessica and the city engineer, the city planner would have more idea of when certain projects would come on. I would have to say if it's our jurisdiction that's doing the actual project, I don't see any problem why a news feed or an e-blast feed come out. But if it's another agency that's doing the project that the city's not involved in, there would be, unless I'm notified directly about it by the agency, there's really no way for me to post it, if that makes sense, to notify.
You just mean because you wouldn't know about it?
I wouldn't know about it, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I know in other jurisdictions that I work for, I used to be the deputy city clerk in Los Gatos, and they did have, their social media coordinator would, get notifications from whatever agencies, and then that information would be put out. I'm not sure what Monte Sereno's relationship is with those other agencies. So, the notification, or even just the heads up that, hey, something's happening on Highway 9, but yeah, unless I guess I have to be notified, or the city needs to be notified that something's happening for us to be able to notify the residents.
And just to clarify, when it gets blasted out, it is only to people who have proactively signed up for the email blast or the notification, which actually I ended up doing just recently. So if they don't know about that, then they're not going to get that information, right?
That's correct, yes. I'm just going to make a note.
Is there a way that we could, I don't know, maybe annually or something, notify all residents that if they, some residents might not care, but some might care more. Is there a way that we could let everybody know that they can proactively sign up? I mean, do we mail out anything quarterly or yearly so that we could at least say, hey, if you're interested, this is how the information gets pushed out?
I guess we could. The only thing I could think of that we could put a plug in our newsletter. We're having our when we have city. I know last year we haven't had really any events because of COVID, but when we do have events like our annual city picnic, that could be something that we could proactively, have a sign up sheet for it and be like, hey, if you're interested in getting information from, the city, here's our, here's how you can sign up. We could definitely do more outreach to get information. We also, I know the council members, they are our biggest, kind of communicators too, to let residents know as well that, hey, there is this option where you can sign up to get messages from the city. And I would ask that you, as well as commissioners, help us outreach as well. So yes, there's definitely more that we could do to outreach. I agree.
I totally agree, but I just want to make sure that all the residents feel like we're being as transparent with the information and communicative as we can. And if we're only sending it out to that subset of people who have signed up, at least on an annual basis, to let people know, hey, if you're interested in what's going on, go to this link and sign up. And I think a lot of residents, some might be interested, some might not, but in order to, I don't know, just kind of give everyone the option, just to let, it would be nice to let every resident know that there's this option. And if you care, you can sign up.
Okay. Yeah, I could talk with the city manager, see of different ways that we can do better outreach and letting the residents know.
Well, and that way, if there is a person who feels like, the commission or the council's not being transparent, then we could at least point to, well, we let everybody know that, you can receive these communications if you want them. just, I don't know, I think it would be good, policy
Mhm.
to at least tell people they have an option to sign up for this information.
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely have a conversation with the city manager regarding
Awesome.
that.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I have another question. There's that magazine, the Peaceful Mountain Monitor. Is that something different yet?
No, that's the newsletter.
That is the newsletter.
That is the
Okay.
newsletter, yes.
And
And that
now-
one is done quarterly.
But you don't know, is that mailed out to people that ask or to all residents?
I don't know. I'm not the one who's in charge of that. I would
Okay.
need to ask one of the administrative assistants that's her baby. So I need to find out. Yeah, I know that it's electronically emailed out, but the physical mailing out to homes, I'm not 100% sure if that's done. I
Okay.
want to say yes, but I can't confirm that right now. But
I was-
I will get that.
I was going to say, in the past, I know there have been newsletters that have been mailed out, and I don't know if it's recent that they're not or if they still are, but I know in the past it's been done, and I would understand why you wouldn't do it in terms of being, eco-friendly and the
Mhm.
cost. But if it was mailed out to all the residents, whether it was quarterly or annually, that might be a good opportunity to do something like that.
Right.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree.
So,
But yeah, I will find out.
so thank you for all the information, Michelle. And I'm not sure if you're aware, just last month, I received a postcard from City of Monte Sereno. And although I already subscribed to the newsletter email link when I moved here in 2013, I never received it. I don't know why. Maybe it just directly land in the spam or whatever happens. So I received this postcard which says that this is the number, text your email, and you will be subscribed to the newsletter. And I assume that this is the result of our discussion of the last meeting, that somebody is paying attention. And I'm not sure if it only went on to my street or just came to certain homes or other commissioners have received it or not. But I signed up for it first week of May. I still haven't received anything. No, not a single email. And I used my Gmail this time, that maybe Yahoo is just putting it in spam or something. So I used another email, but still I'm not getting anything. So maybe something is either happening haphazardly, which is going to some people, not going to another people. Not everybody knows that there is email letter, or like just now that newsletter was mentioned, that magazine was mentioned. I've never received anything in last 8 years. And the only way to get updated or get any information is go on website, which we have to do regularly, timely, because we are attending these meetings, but not everybody does that. And then people do tend to get upset that we were never informed, or we don't even know what is going on, which is the normal tendency. Without like putting their effort, of course, everybody want
Right.
somebody to tell them what is going on. So is there a way we can improve it? If that postcard is going on one street, maybe we can send it everywhere and just centralize all the systems, so we know what is going on, and we can just inform the people at least about these meetings. And sometimes these small projects come up, like in our commission, that Bruce Avenue project was there, and people were really upset that they didn't know what was happening. And we are trying to do our best, and I'm pretty sure you and the other staff is trying to do the best, but I think there are some gaps in the communication which we don't know how to patch up and how to streamline.
Okay, yeah, I'll need to follow up with the city manager on where that disconnect is coming from, with the, you're submitting your information, but you're not receiving it. Yeah, I will need to follow up with the city manager on that. Thank you for that feedback. Thanks
Right.
for
I
letting me
mean,
know.
even if that postcard can go to everyone, I'm pretty sure many of the residents would like to sign up. It's just very simple, sending your text message, and I'm really not sure who received it and who didn't.
Okay. I have made a note of that.
Thank you.
Barry, you're still on mute.
Philippa is trying to talk, so go ahead. No, I'm sorry. We cannot understand you. I'm very sorry, Philippa, but we cannot understand you. I think what we'll have to do is take this information that we learned and maybe follow up and have an internal discussion so that we can get your thoughts on it at the next meeting. That's my best guess. Does anybody else have any other suggestions how we can discuss this with Philippa? I'm sure she wants to talk about it, but she just can't.
Maybe if she logs off the blog back in, whatever audio issues she's having might be fixed by the internet. I'm not sure.
I'm sorry, Michelle, are you suggesting she re-enter the meeting?
Yeah, I was thinking maybe if we just,
It sounds like it's her microphone. I don't know
Yeah.
if she's using her computer microphone or one that she plugs in, but I think that's the issue, or might be the issue.
Mhm. So I think unless Philippa is able to address this, I guess, Jessica, what I think we should do is just have this as an agenda item on the next meeting. Michelle doesn't need to come back unless she has information she feels she wants to share with us. Or she could just pass it on, and then we can try to follow up and talk amongst ourselves and see what, if anything, we should do now that we're more knowledgeable on this subject. Does that seem reasonable?
Would it be appropriate for Philippa to possibly email Jessica her thoughts, on this topic?
yeah, as long
Subsequent
as,
to the meeting, so she can at least, convey what she wanted to say?
yeah, as long as she just emails it directly to Jessica and not include the rest of the commission, that shouldn't be an issue.
Yeah, we can't have a discussion on it outside this meeting is the
Correct.
only problem.
That's correct. That's part of the Brown Act, as well as an email conversation. So, or she can email it to me directly and I can respond to her communication.
And then I guess, Philippa, feel free to let them know if you feel we should discuss it, follow up on this at the next meeting. And if you want to talk about it at the next meeting, I think we should. But otherwise, I don't know, Doreen, does it seem like you feel you have enough information? And
Oh,
Shalini?
absolutely. I think this was great.
Yes, and please, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me via email or phone call.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here for you.
Thanks for being here tonight.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Yes, any other questions or comments? All right. Well, thank you very much, Michelle, for taking the time to educate us. And now we have a better idea of how things work. We can talk amongst ourselves about what we think our best practice should be for making sure that we're as transparent as possible.
Perfect. And I'll have a conversation with the city manager as well.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Thank you very much. All right. The next item on our agenda is something that we talk about every month or every meeting, just to make sure that we don't forget about it, is Highway 9 user safety. I personally just have a couple. I noticed they're working, and I don't know if they finished the sign down on Masol. Maybe somebody else has noticed, but they definitely were working on it again. I attended the Los Gatos Streets Commission last week, and one thing I learned that there were 2 bicycle car accidents on Highway 9 in May. There was one of them was at Austin and one of them was at Masol. Both of them were cars making a left turn in front of a bicycle. So I just wanted to share that with the rest of the commission, that happened in May. Does anybody else, including Jessica, have any comment on Highway 9 or anything they want to share?
This is Jessica. So the one
Yes.
comment that I had is that the city council did pass the fiscal year 2021 budget on their meeting on Tuesday, which included that walkway project on Highway 9. So it is still contingent on receiving some funding from the state, which we have not heard back from as of yet, but it is in the city's budget to complete next fiscal year.
Okay. Okay, great. That's good news. Thank you very much for both sharing that with us and for making it happen. Okay, with that, we can move on to new business, which is another standing item for the summertime, at least, beach traffic. Once again, I can share what was reported by Los Gatos. Their staff said that beach traffic, particularly over Memorial Day weekend, was as expected, with the exception of the one day when there was a fatal accident, which nobody can control for or predict. The only mitigation that they are doing right now is those no right turns onto North Santa Cruz Street from Almond Grove that apply for certain hours on Saturdays. That's the only traffic mitigation the town of Los Gatos is doing, and it's the only one that they have planned at this point in time, because every other experiment they've tried has caused problems somewhere else.
I gathered that when I read the FAQs, and it kind of listed all the things that were possibilities or had been thought about or had been tried in the past. And I was actually wondering to myself, I'm like, what else is there that we could possibly try? Because the FAQs basically gave reasons why we can't do any of them.
Yes, I mean, I feel like they've been hammered about, and everybody that's impacted has had their own ideas. So they've been forced to look at everything that's possible. And they've tried a lot of experiments. So I don't have anything to add. I just thought we should keep track of it in case there were big impacts in Monte Sereno, specifically on Ridgecrest, which has been a problem in the past. But other than monitoring it in case there's some severe impacts for our residents, I don't.
Well, I think
see
there
any
are,
action.
because on Memorial Day weekend, I had to run to Safeway, and it took me nearly 20 minutes to do something that should have taken 5, because I use, I'm a Monte Sereno resident, but that's how I actually have to get to Safeway. So Winchester was backed all the way up. So it's frustrating, and I'm doing the best I can, because even it said in the FAQs, basically go early in the morning or go late in the afternoon. And that's about all you can do. The thought of going downtown on a Saturday during the day to do anything is very unappealing during the summer, which is unfortunate to the downtown businesses.
But it seems anything they do to try to alleviate that makes new problems pop up elsewhere.
No, I mean, I understand that. It's just frustrating.
Yeah. So, and the specific problem you're talking about would have to be acted on by Los Gatos, I think. Not us, not Monte Sereno.
No, absolutely. It's just, Winchester is a street that Monte Sereno residents use, even though it's not a Monte Sereno street.
So I feel that we should keep this as a standing item for the summer, in case things get out of hand, in case Los Gatos makes changes, we're able to talk about it because it'll be on the agenda. But I personally have nothing else to add. Any other comments besides Doreen's discussion?
I'll just add that I totally agree with what you guys both said, that when I was reading those questions, it's frustrating because we've all been living through this for so many years. And every time you think you hear someone with a good idea, there's always the negative. Starts to just kind of, what's the word? You get kind of used to it. I mean, in a bad way.
Yeah, you don't have any choice.
Yeah. But anyway, I just wanted to say I agree with what you guys are saying.
Well, and especially for longtime residents, if you've been living in or around the area for like 30 years,
yeah,
this was not an issue. but it's become an issue.
Mhm.
Just out of curiosity, has people always used Winchester and Highway 9 this crazily before? Like, I've been living here for last 8 years and I have always seen this craziness, but I don't ever remember taking surface streets going to Santa Cruz. We always used to stick to 17 and it would take longer, but it never used to be that we will swerve inside, come in Los Gatos, or take the surface streets or try to do something crazy. But is it the problem created by all these apps who are diverting traffic to Los Gatos, or people just realize that this is the easier way to go?
A lot of people think it's the apps, that's for sure. I kind of think it's more population growth than anything else, but I'm just guessing.
No, that's
I would have to
true.
agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's population. The sheer volume of people in the South Bay
True.
is what's driving it.
And also the people that aren't from here, those are the ones that are impacted by the apps, right? They're going to the beach from Mountain View and they see, oh, I can go this way because Waze is telling me to cut through a different way. So it's definitely a combo of it.
Mhm. Mhm.
And there is no way we can convince Waze or Google or Apple or any other app not to divert the traffic on Winchester. I mean, if we can just take Winchester and a block of 9 out of that route, we can really resolve this problem to, I don't know, 70-80%, I guess.
My feeling is Los Gatos has heard what you're saying many times and they've looked at it and I mean, if we try to dig into it ourselves, we're just going to be duplicating their work and probably not do as good of a job as they did. I
Right.
just, I don't think it's a good use of our time.
That's true.
No, they definitely have a bigger voice than we do. And I think it comes down to what the FAQs were saying. I mean, there are too many multiple apps.
Mhm.
So you would have to get them all to agree, which, you know, one's not going to do it if the other one isn't. And, you know, just because, you know, otherwise one of them's going to have a benefit. So I just think that'd be really tough.
Right. And they've been trying to, I remember they got invited Senator Beale a couple of years ago and made him take a drive and I think try to, that he convinced all these companies, but I guess it's just really, really big fish to fry for someone and we just
Mhm.
cannot figure it. There has to be some sort of creative solution. Someone else have to come up with some other app which can find an easier route, I guess.
And if you look at it from the perspective of somebody that lives in Santa Clara, that's,
Mhm.
you know, they want to know the best way to get to the beach.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
it doesn't help them. Technically, they get
Mhm.
stuck in more traffic, but they just don't realize what they're doing when they
Mhm.
take that turn.
Okay, any more comments? All right, then I guess we'll go ahead and move on. Which the next thing is committee and commission report. So I do have a couple things to report. June's VTA BPAC meeting, almost all the VTA meetings in June were canceled due to the horrific shooting that happened there. But in the May meeting, they presented their vision for this bicycle superhighway plan. And Jessica was kind enough to forward the map page from that out. I don't know if everybody's got a chance to look at it in that email. But I just wanted to bring to your attention that the bicycle superhighways that they're envisioning are Blossom Hill Road up until it ends at Winchester, Los Gatos Boulevard, Lark Avenue, and then you can see just above Los Gatos is the railway right-of-way where there's an existing Joe's Trail in Saratoga. Maybe some of you have walked on that. And so those are all areas that they vision that can someday be a commuter grade bicycle route. So it's not really intended for pleasure riding. That's why the Los Gatos Creek Trail is not on there. It's intended for people to go fast and be able to get to work instead of using a car. The one thing that's a little bit sad is Highway 9 is not on there. And that was because I believe they felt there weren't enough people at the starting point of Highway 9. Only people from downtown Los Gatos would really take that section, and that a lot more people would use this section that uses that railroad right away. There's no money right now to do anything. It's just a plan they have so that they can, when funds become available or people are doing work on some of these right of ways, they might be able to get something done at that point in time. I did suggest at the meeting that they consider adding Winchester between Blossom Hill and Lark, simply because we're making that into a nice bike route anyways. And it's a very good connector between two of these paths. And so I don't know if that will happen or not, but that seemed to me like a glaring omission given the work that's going to happen on Winchester. Any questions or comments on that?
I agree.
Is that useful information to people?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Barry, I know you said there's no money now. Do you have any idea, or did they allude to what a potential time frame is? 10 years, 20 years, or
I think it is the 10 or 20 year time frame.
the long? Okay.
Yeah, and Jessica may have been involved in this is also goes in front of one of the committees she's on. She might be able to share more insight into this than me. Do you have any comments, Jessica?
I know the BTA did go around and check with all the jurisdictions about this plan, but since Monte Sereno wasn't included, I wasn't involved.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I got the same information you did, Barry, at the staff BTA meeting.
Okay, at the TAC meeting, you attend that?
Correct.
Yeah, okay. All right. And then I've done a good job of going to the Los Gatos Complete Streets meetings. And so I'll just share a couple of the high points there. Two of them were the beach traffic thing I brought up and Highway 9, which I brought up. They've completed a street audit for handicap access in downtown. So they either had somebody with a wheelchair go around downtown along with the walkers, or they had somebody use a stroller. And they found that they decided that Los Gatos is actually in very good shape. There were a few sandwich boards that people have put out that were blocking the sidewalks that would keep a wheelchair from getting through. And then Los Gatos Cafe in particular had tables that were blocking the sidewalk. And so they were going to go speak to them. Other than that, things look pretty good. I mentioned before, they've got a handicap parking access study specifically for handicap vans that can handle a wheelchair, and they haven't really made any progress on that yet. But that's an ongoing item. The contract for the bridge over Highway 17, the pedestrian and bicycle bridge that's near Blossom Hill Road, that the contract for the design has been awarded and the design work has already started. And they expect that to be completed in early 2024. And then this is almost more of a question for Jessica. They talked about something I didn't understand very well. They came up with a local roadway safety program. And if I understood it correctly, it's going to be required by Caltrans for certain funding started in 2024. I know they hired a consultant to do it, so it must be expensive. And I'm just wondering if you know about that, Jessica, and if that's something we're going to eventually need to do, or if that's news to you also.
I am aware of it. Typically those are for big ticket funding projects. So projects like over like $5 million or so. So at this time, the city's not planning on doing that kind of study. If they somehow change the requirements of the type of funding that you have access to because you have that study, if they lower the threshold or something of that, where it'd be more relevant to the city of Monte Sereno, we would have to. But at this point, it's not really required for the scope of projects we have in the city.
Okay. The the report they did actually had, and I don't know if it's online, it must be online, had a lot of good information on various types of accidents on the roads, both pedestrian, bicycle, and auto accidents. So if that's something that interests you, you could go find it on the Los Gatos town website, but unfortunately they didn't include Monte Sereno in that. And that is all I have. Does anybody else have any thing they'd like to report on or comment or announcements, anything? All right, in that case, why don't we move on then to the city engineer's report. And I do have a question for you if you don't cover it, Jessica, but can you go ahead?
Sure. So I have two items to report on tonight. One is the Winchester bike lane pavement restoration project that should be happening this summer. Should be happening now, but PG&E and AT&T are taking their sweet time finishing their project on the road, and so it hasn't started yet. It is still happening this summer. The concrete work is supposed to be started in the next couple weeks, and then the pavement work probably more like August when it was originally scheduled for July. So that is still happening, and it's just a little bit delayed. The other item I had for you all tonight was during the council's goal setting meeting, one of the projects proposed was to an update to the bike and pedestrian master plan, specifically for planning sidewalks in the city. And so that is something that the council would like the commission to take on in the next year or so. And so next meeting, I will have a staff report and kind of an outline of steps to take to get this project started.
Interesting. So are they thinking they'd like to have sidewalks everywhere? Is that or is it too soon to tell?
I think the idea is to see where potential gaps are of our existing sidewalks, which are not many, and then potential projects for the future, and having community meetings and seeing kind of what the feel is for the community, because as many of you may know, some of the longer time residents are into the rural feel of Monte Sereno, and in different neighborhoods, there's more appropriate places for sidewalks and this type of infrastructure than others. And then other residents who prefer sidewalks for their children and strollers and such walking down the street. And it's unclear to staff where that really the overall feeling lies with the entire city, because no one's really been pulled on it in the recent past. So kind of getting an idea of what the desire of the residents really is right now.
So Jessica, we had talked at one point about, continuing or creating a sidewalk, it's like at that Bruce and Poppy intersection, because the kids are flying down there to Dave's. Is that something that might fall underneath this, in terms of whatever, developing standards or something like that?
That would be a gap that would be captured by a study like that.
Okay. Cool.
So Jessica, when you say sidewalk, are they going to build a cement sidewalk, or they're just going to appropriate a portion of the road and just white mark it so people can walk? Like, is there a structure, or are we supposed to come up with it, or are we supposed to take residents' opinion on it?
The latter. So, right, we're supposed to be getting kind of feedback and seeing where it's appropriate, and maybe some places a concrete sidewalk is appropriate, where other places the pathway is appropriate, where other places no change is appropriate. So it's really sussing all that out with the residents and talking it over during our public meetings.
And is there a time frame? Because I'm assuming that this is a big project and won't be anytime in near future, right? It might take 4 to 5 years just to figure out what everybody wants.
Right. No, it would definitely be a long-term project. And so in the next meeting, I will have a staff report that kind of outlines the steps to getting there. But I would assume this would take at least a year.
Okay.
Sounds like a useful project. Anything else, Jessica?
Those are the two items I have for you this evening.
So I've got a question for you. So our old commission member, Phil Levine, he posted something on Nextdoor about the city manager was going to enter an agreement to prepare plans and specifications for Dave's Avenue improvement project, neighborhood improvement project. And I wasn't sure what that was or what he was talking about. Do you?
So that is our project on Bruce that we've been talking about for the past year. And then also included in that is some updates for Vista Avenue, just because it's in poor shape. And since we will have a surveyor and project engineers out there, it just makes sense as a cost savings to just do those as one design project.
Okay.
It's called the Dave's Avenue Neighborhood Project, just because that's what we've been calling these other projects. For example, the Lauren Kenyatta neighborhood project isn't really on Lauren Kenyatta. It's on like Natalie and Zena and Clara.
Okay.
So I could see where there might have been some misunderstanding about where the project is located based on the title. But it is the Bruce project we've been talking about.
So would that include both the bulb outs and also the improvements that need to be made to the street itself?
Correct.
Okay, great. All right. Well, that makes perfect sense. All right. Thank you. Any more questions or comments for Jessica? With that, the next item on our agenda is future agenda items, which it sounds like we've got one thing. I felt like we didn't have that much to talk about for this meeting. Although I didn't want to create things to bring up that weren't really an issue. But it does seem like we're not doing a lot right now that could change quite a bit with this sidewalk project. But does anybody have any thoughts on that? Do they feel like we should be doing more? And if so, what should we be looking at? Or are we happy reacting to what gets put in front of us?
You mean the project Jessica just mentioned, which she's bringing more information?
Well, no, I mean above and beyond that. For example, I personally felt we didn't have that much to talk about at this meeting. I mean, we're almost done and it's 7:50. Well, I guess ideally it'd only be an hour meeting anyways. But I'm just wondering if other people felt that that we should be looking for things to talk about, or we're doing fine as is, especially with the stuff that's coming up.
I share a feeling we didn't have much to talk about, and although there are many issues, but it's just like we cannot do anything about it. We cannot do anything about beach traffic. We cannot do anything about Highway 9 right now. So it just like there are things we can talk all night if we like, but no result will come out of it. So I guess we just need to keep reviewing it every month and maybe try to figure out if we can find some creative ways which we can share with City of Las Vegas. But I don't see any resolutions of these problems in near future. So I guess we are stuck there.
I don't think there's any big holes that we're missing. I'd like to see the Bruce conversation continue, especially that intersection, Bruce and Poppy. But I think things are moving, albeit kind of slowly, but everything takes time. So I don't notice any gaping holes.
Okay. I mean, Bruce will be on our agenda again, and the sidewalk thing could keep us pretty busy. So chances are we'll have some very busy meetings down the road. Okay, I wanted to get other people's feedback on that, whether there was anything else. I forget what they are now, but I went back and looked at our goals and objectives, and it didn't look like there was anything that we were overlooking there either. So with that, I think if nobody has any other comments or anything else to say, we can go ahead and adjourn the meeting. I guess before I do that, the future agenda items is Philippa needs to let Jessica know if she wants to talk about this communication at the next meeting. So make sure that you share that, Philippa. We don't want. Yes.
Can you confirm, is our next meeting, is it August? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, perfect.
And is it going to be a Zoom meeting, Jessica, or we are meeting in person now?
So that's a great question. I know that was discussed a bit during the council meeting on Tuesday. And at this point, I don't know. So I will let you know when I know, but yeah, I do. But at this point, I'm not sure.
I personally will be out of state, so I'm hopeful that it can be a Zoom meeting, at least an optional Zoom meeting. So just give you a heads up, Doreen, if
I'll
it's
be here.
not. Okay.
I'll be here.
Mhm.
Can we make it a Zoom meeting, Jessica, if our chair is not available, just to accommodate all the members?
Not sure what the rules are about that. I would have to get back to you. Yeah, I don't know if how that works. So I'd have to, that's actually a city clerk question. So I will get back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. With that, it's 7:53 and I'm going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much for your time, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good
Can
night.
you ever hear me?
We can hear you now.
Oh, for crying out loud. I would like to comment on the first issue, especially about how to communicate our information to the public.
You know, I'm really afraid that since I adjourned the meeting, somebody could have hung up, that we could be violating the Brown Act right now by discussing this. So what we'll do is continue this discussion at the next meeting.
Well,